Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door, your running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, no matter by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And today, I'm going to be pulling one out from the Patreon Convict Vault, a previous Locked Up episode, I think from last June, called Dogs. And I want to thank all the Patreon and convicts, for making this show run. You are getting your new bonus episode Locked Up on this same date. So I'm actually going to be out of town on Tuesday when this drops, but I'm pulling one from the vault, but replacing the one in the vault and adding an additional one in the vault. So Patreon convicts, you will be getting your new Locked Up episodes, plural, this week before the end of the month. Just want to tell everybody that I love them and appreciate them and thank you so much. And this is just an old school story about man's best friend. All right. So one night I was working criminal patrol or uniform patrol for the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. And I was sitting in Springfield back in, at the police station. A lot of times late at night or if I was trying to catch up on reports, if you roll Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? That's your long weekend. That's what they call it. Shit, you're rolling call to call to call. And each call you go out on, you give the people a file number. Well, in your business card, right? With a file number written on the back. And they probably got some electronic way to do it now, but I'm telling you how it was back then, 20 plus years ago. So let's say your garbage can gets stolen. I do a report and I give you a file number. That file number, you take that to wherever you want to get a copy of the report. Well, fuck, I got to write a report, right? So I may pull 50 file numbers over the course of the weekend. Well, at the end of the fucking weekend, I got to write 50 reports. So you tried not to pull a file number if you didn't have to, but it happened as part of policing. And that could be anything, y'all, from foot pursuit and arrests, vehicle pursuits to burglaries to murder, whatever. It doesn't matter. You got to pull a file number. So the problem is, again, you got to keep up with that shit. And policing doesn't end like when you arrest someone. Mr. Kearney used to say all the time, shit, anybody can go out there and arrest somebody for breaking the law. It's the follow through. It's getting the conviction or the follow through on the investigation, whether somebody's car got broke into or whatever, going and running the prints and actually turning the fucking prints into the state police crime lab so they can be compared, right? A lot of times people go out and slap the dust around, pull prints and take them, and they never send them in. Well, you know what? They never send them in unless the complainant calls and is bitching to the sheriff, whatever happened with my car. And that's just the way that was. But to be a full, well-rounded cop, you need to do everything from the file, responding on the scene to whatever it may be, to giving the file number, to actually writing the report, which is where everything happens, right? If you go on a court, everything that's important is in the report. And shit, a lot of times, and sometimes I would forget or maybe lose something or whatever, but I can't tell you, especially when I'm in detectives, the phone calls that I would get from citizens, and they'd be like, they said you're going to be handling my case. And I'm like, what's your name? And they give me their name. Fuck, I don't have it. And I'm so, well, who did you talk to? Oh, deputy such and such. And here's my file number. Well, fuck. I get the file number. I put them on hold. I called the radio room and they were like, yep, they went out to such and such. It was a rape, whatever it may be. They went out to this rape at such and such time. And this is the file number. This is the complainant, right? So then I got to get back on the phone. I have to call the deputy who supposed to written the report. I got to track this fucker down and be like, hey man, I got this person screaming, about the crime that was committed against them. And what the fuck's your report? Right. Almost every day, some assholes, and it's good and bad in every profession, but assholes that just want to take the chance and not writing the report. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is I love to be hunting people, and I hated to sit somewhere. I wasn't one of the cops when hung out at the Waffle House or bullshitted and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Of course, sometimes I would pull over to the side and shoot the shit with other cops. And that was a big no-no too. The sheriff didn't want to see you, two blue and whites parked together. That was a big fucking no-no because it's a bad public perception, right? The public sees the cars together and think, well, lazy ass cops are not doing anything. But I didn't really do that anyway, unless it was late at night and we were in a bank parking lot or something like that. But on this evening, I'll never forget it, it was a Sunday evening, I was backed in facing the roadway, and I was actually writing reports, catching up, right? Jamming out my reports, going through I used to carry a little notepad with me when I get out on the scene, take the people's name, date of birth, address, phone number, what happened. If there was something I needed them to write down, I would give them a witness statement form and I'd get it. And then I had to make my report and turn in. So I'm neck deep in reports, especially arrest reports. I've been busy. I probably arrested like 15 fuckers that weekend, but I'm sitting back then, monitor my radio, got my light on in the car, and I'm just turning dark on a hot summer evening, Sunday evening, and I'm jamming out. Well, I look up and I see lights coming. Boom, rolling down 22, medical lights, fire truck lights. Ambulance, and then a fire truck, and then I saw a whole bunch of first responders, and I was on TAC 2, right? The parish was split radio-wise, TAC 1 and TAC 2. TAC 1 being the west side of the parish, and TAC 2 being the east side where I was. So I was on tack 2, and I'm looking at all these guys that are boom, 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 right in front of me down Main Street in Springfield, which is like 10 miles an hour or some shit like that, right? And so finally I picked up the mic and I said, 361-259. They said 361, go ahead. I said, what you got going on in Springfield? And they said, stand by. And they came back and they said, we got a medical emergency. I'm like, okay, 10-4. That's it, right? I go back to writing my report. Now, if a medical emergency came out, they didn't bother that on our radio channels because we were so busy, right? We were jamming. You didn't want to be out on a call or foot pursuit and them calling and somebody's having a heart attack and send the fire trucks, and then all the volunteer firemen and shit get on there and the paramedics, and they got their own channels and shit. That's what I'm telling you. But our dispatch monitored all that. So they would have been listening to that out of the right ear while listening to us the rest of the way. So anyway, I go back to writing a report. About 2 minutes later, my radio goes off. 259-361. I grabbed it. I said, go ahead, 1071. And it said, we need you to respond to that medical. I said, well, where's it at? And I said, what do you got? I mean, I'm thinking in my brain, I don't usually go to medicals, right? It's not my jam. And they told me where it was, out in Lizard Creek, and which is really rural, but told them what the address was. And I said, what is it? What do you have? And they said, you just need to get there. You need to respond. I was like, that's strange, right? And I wasn't that far away. I was like 10 minutes away. And so I jam out to Lizard Creek, pull up. It's really rural, like super, super country. This is the only road that goes in and it dead ends down at the river. Or you can take a right off on Fire Tower Road. But anyway, going down and I see all the lights and all the, like I told you, it just gotten dark. I just gotten dark. So I can see all the lights in the distance. I pull up, I get out and I walk up, and they're getting the stretcher out of the back of the ambulance. It was a gravel driveway. It was an older style home, and I could hear a dog barking in the back. It was a nice home. The grass was cut, but so I'm walking down. They said they're in the kitchen. Go around the back, and so I'm walking around the back, and I see the fire chief coming out, and he's a great guy. He's been there forever. I see him coming out, and I said, Brian, what do you got? He said, man, it's bad. He said, you're not gonna believe this shit. He said, it's a dog attack. I said, what? And he said, that dog right there. And there's this high fence, y'all, like a 6-foot fence, chain link fence. And there's this big fucking Rottweiler. Like, this dog must weigh 200 pounds. It was a monster, and it kept jumping at the fence. I mean, it was hitting. It was like rearing up the fence, like trying to get through. I'm like, he said, don't worry, he can't get out. The owner got it locked up. But this dog was going, whoa, 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 wham, and it kept hitting the fence. And I'm about 6 feet away, and he's to my right. The back door of the house, Brian had just come out. The fire chief had just come out. It was to my left, and that dog was just pounding the fence. And he said, you just got to go see. And so I walk up, and I take the left to go into the kitchen door. Meanwhile, the dog is literally like 3 feet away on the other side of this fence, like just trying to get to me, going, raw, 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 raw. And just, I'm like, to the point where I had my hand on my pistol. I was fearful, but I still didn't know what happened. And I look in the back door, I take my first step. The back door was open, and the EMTs and the paramedics are with an elderly female. And I'll never forget this. And if I told this story before, I bet you can go back and it's exact. I'm saying exactly word for word. I go in, the husband's in there. He's an old man, probably late 70s. And I mean, and he's crying, he's all upset. And he was like, the dog attacked her, the dog attacked her. I'm like, and I look at her, and they're working on her. She's sitting up. They're working on her. And on the top of her head, you could see holes. She had, I think, gray hair or grayish white. You could see holes where brain was sticking out on the top of her head, right? That's pretty bad. I'm like, holy shit. And like, I guess the dog is from where the dog's mouth clamped down on top of her head, and the teeth tore back through the skull and lifted brain out. Now that was pretty bad, but I can handle it, right? I'm there to do a job. But at the same fucking second, they lift up the back of her hair. I mean, there was blood everywhere anyway, but they lift up the back of her hair, and I swear to you, the back of her neck down her spinal column, you could see her fucking spine. You could see her neck. The dog had ate it away. I don't know how this lady was alive, and I found out later on that she did die from this. But when they lifted that hair up, and you could literally, I could see her vertebrae and on the and her neck and her spinal column. It was all the meat was gone. And anyway, they were loading her up. Hurrying up, and then the stretcher got in. I helped him get the stretcher in the door. They loaded her up and get out. But I'm talking to the husband, and I got his name and everything. And I said, man, what happened? And he said he was crying. He was so upset. He said, we raised that dog since it was a puppy. We got it when it was a puppy. But we've had it for I think 7 or 8 years, y'all. He said, we were out working in the yard, and the dog was out like it always is during the daytime. And it was getting dark. And he said, I told my wife, said, baby, put up whatever the dog's name was, Cujo. I can't remember what his name was. But baby, put up the dog. And so she got the dog by the collar and was walking it to the pen where it was outside jumping at the fence. Walking to the pen, he says she tripped and she fell. He said when she fell, the dog just went apeshit and attacked her, just like started eating her alive, literally.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something. And all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference God will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
He said it freaked me out. He's crying when he's telling me this. He said it freaked me out. He said I ran over. He said I didn't know what to do. He said I saw hunks of meat flying. The dog's just ripping her head and her back and everything apart. He said I grabbed a hold of it while he's eating my wife. He said I would pull him as hard as I could, and I was able to get him to stop for like maybe a second or two, and then I didn't have the energy anymore, and I would have to let go. And he said as soon as I did, meat started flying again. He was just raw, tearing meat, throwing skin. He said we raised that son of a bitch since it was a baby. Figured that one out, y'all. And finally, he was able to. He kicked it in the head or something, and it broke loose. And he laid down on his wife and protected her, and he called 911. I don't remember how all that worked, but they were able to get the dog into the fence. And I told the husband, I said, what do you want to do with the dog? I mean, obviously, I'd always heard like a dog, once it gets a taste for human blood, they're like, fuck it. They want it all the time, right? But this dog, while she was in the kitchen, was still trying to get to her, was attacking the fence. And if he could have got to that fucking fence, he'd have got her again. I'm telling you. He said, kill that motherfucker. He said, I mean, what else are you going to do? Right. So but we couldn't do that. And I called whoever supervised, and I told them what I had, and they came out and they were like, man, fuck, what did we do? But there was, I think it was one of the son-in-laws or somebody showed up, and we told them. Then of course they were crying upset, or maybe it was the son, but they were crying upset. And he was like, fuck that. He said, I said, your dad wants some shot. I said, we can't shoot him. We just can't, even if he gives us permission, unless it's a threat to us. He said, fuck, I can shoot it. And he went inside and he got a gun, and that dog was trying to get to him through the fence. So, I mean, this fucking dog lost his mind. I don't know if it had rabies or whatever the fuck. It was out of control. I've never seen anything like it. And he put the rifle through the fence and he shot it once in the head and killed it. I know that it was packaged up and taken to be tested at LSU for rabies. I don't know what happened. We can go figure that right. And then she ends up dying from it. And they've been married like a long time, like 50 years or something like that. So that story always sticks with me. I'll never forget when I saw the holes on the top of the head and the brain, and I thought, it's pretty bad. Right. But then when they lifted her hair, see her whole spinal column. I mean, like the skeleton in your science classroom, white. It's just fucking crazy. All right, I'm gonna tell you one more, and then I'll save it. I have a really good one, but it's too long to do today, and I'll put it up for y'all for next time. It's dog related, but I'm gonna tell you this one, and this is true too. It's a sip my tea. Just give you a different perspective on how things roll. And I was in detectives. I got called out. It was nighttime. I think it was like fall time, like October or something. It was a little bit of a chill in the air. And I got called out on I think a molestation case at a house way out in the country, in Holden, up above Holden, Louisiana. And so I was the detective on call, no big deal. And I roll out to it and not in a big rush. The shit had already happened and just handling my detective duties. Now, I didn't have my partner with me because when we worked nights, either I would take the first part and he would take the second part or vice versa, right? And I never call my partner out unless it was a murder or a rape or something that a whodunit that I needed help on, or it was going to be an acute political emergency in 8. But this wasn't. It was a, standard molestation deal. And I called it. I had been paged, and I called, and they told me. And then, but I was on the way there, and when I pulled in, I saw this fucking dog in the yard, like this black. It was a non-breed. I don't know what you call that, not a half breed, whatever. But it was a big dog, and it was running around the yard. And I pulled up, and I called out on my microphone, and I said 201-259-1097. And they said 201. I said, yes, go ahead. And they said the complainant called back and said to be aware of a big dog that's running around the yard. It's not theirs. I'm like, all right, whatever. I saw the dog. I mean, I've been doing this shit a long time. Now, look, we had to kill dogs on SWAT team entries, like guard dogs, and that's a story for another day. I've had to do shit that you don't want to do, right, or deal with. I love dogs. We raise English Springer Spaniels. I mean, twice a year, I have probably fucking 30 dogs on my house between the puppies and the mamas and stuff. They have 2 different mamas that give litters at the 1 month apart, twice a year. So I love dogs. Had one my entire life. Would never hurt a dog. Fuck. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. If it's at the end of the day and it comes to me being like that old lady and getting ate the fuck up, or me having to shoot a dog, I'm going to kill the fucking dog. But anyway, I didn't really think too much about it. So I go to get out, and I look around, and I didn't see the dog. And, okay, so this was in the country, nobody around. There was one, like, safety light. All right, so it wasn't real well lit. It was, like, the shadows were to the left side of my car, the safety light was to the right. And I get out, I'm looking for the dog now, right? I go up to this old wooden house and I go up on the porch, up on the steps on the porch, and the porch is dark. There's no light. And I knock on the door, and they open the door, and they said, "Did you see the dog?" And then I heard it, roar, and then I looked, and the dogs come running, and I was like, "Fuck!" I shut the door, and I'm like, "What's up with the dog?" And they're like, "We have no idea that, but it threatened one of my kids earlier today." And then after we called you to come out, we saw it, or my husband saw it was back in the yard, and he told me to call back in to tell y'all, because this tried to attack one of our kids today, but it's not our dog, and it doesn't have a collar on, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I'll be aware of it when it goes out. So I take the information on the molestation, the kid, whatever. When you go out on molestation calls like that, you get the information about the child crying out and what they said. Then you tell the parents, hey, look, I don't want you to ask the kid any more questions. That if they want to talk about it or whatever, you can listen to them, but don't ask them anything. You immediately set up a CAC interview, a Child Advocacy Center interview, forensic interview, where they go in and you're monitoring through closed circuit television, and you watch the interview, and the kid says that something did or didn't happen to him, and based off that, you work your case. But it started with you had to go out and interview the family. All right, so you tell the family, we're going to have to do the CAC. After that, y'all can get the counsel, whatever it may be. I said, but don't ask me any more questions, because the defense attorney's going to say you coached them, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I'm doing that. I call OCS from there. Then I got the CAC scheduled, and I got them their file number and all that. And the child was not, and in any imminent danger. This person wasn't even like in the state. This child was crying out much later on against a family member. So day at the office, right? I get ready to leave and turn, and they tell me bye, and I go and walk out the fucking door. I'm looking for the dog. I don't see him. And I go and I put my hand on the fucking car door. Now I had when in detectives, I would normally, if we were at the office, I'd wear a tie and slacks and a button-down shirt. If I went out in the field, or if I went to court, I'd put a jacket on, sports coat or whatever. You working nights, not so much, but I had on slacks and a button-down shirt and a belt, and then my pistol, naturally, right, my badge on the front of it. So I reached my car door with my left hand. I'm opening the motherfucker, and I hear it, and I look to my right, split second, coming down the side of my unmarked unit was that fucking black dog, and it had a full run. And one of the things they train you, one reason the cops train over and over and over at the firing range, is you go back to muscle memory. That's what they call it. When the sugar turns to shit, you don't have time to think about what happens. Your brain automatically does what you've been trained to do. So one of the positions on the firing line, so you have to qualify every year, right, to carry your weapon for the state. We had to qualify twice a year because Willie was a firearms instructor and he believed in that. And then being on the SWAT team, we had to qualify 4 times a year. So, but one of the firing positions is from the 2-yard line. You stand in what they call the interview position, which you're belated, left shoulder a little bit forward, right shoulder just a little bit back, hands up, like almost in the diamond steeple, like Mr. Kearney used to do behind the desk. Put your fingers together in the diamond steeple like that, and right foot just a little bit back behind your left foot. It's a bladed in case somebody goes to attack you. If you need to defend yourself, your legs are centered just a little bit, so you have that. If somebody hits you, you have a little bit better balance. If you need to, fist the cuffs, right, your hands are already up. If you need to draw, like you were doing from the 2-yard line, you would draw and fire from the hip. So you reach down, you draw your pistol, and as soon as you draw, as soon as that motherfucker clears the holster, pow, pow. That's what you train. I mean, it's like the old West shit, right? And you had to do it, and you had to do that 6 times every time you qualified. So, pow, 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 as fast as you could do it, right? Holy shit. That fucking dog was coming, and I didn't even have time to think about it. I had the door part of the way open, and he's coming at me, and I drew without thinking about it. Muscle memory, right? I drew as fast as I could, and as soon as I drew, he hit my fucking leg and hit it, knocking my right leg down as I drew the pistol out. Pow, pow! Shot him twice. And he took off running, and he ended up dying. But let me tell you what happened. Motherfucker hit me. When he hit me so hard, he tried to hit me with his mouth. He did hit me with his mouth. He ripped my fucking pants, but he didn't get my skin. But he hit me, and because I bladed myself at the last second, when he hit me, his teeth just didn't miss the meat of my leg, and he hit my pants, and I shot. Pow, pow. How the fuck I didn't shoot myself in the foot or the leg, I'll never know it to this day. Never know, because it happened so fast, and I literally cleared the holster as he's hitting me, and I'm literally shooting right down. Look at myself, I'm doing it now, y'all. I wish I had this on camera. I literally shot pow that fast, and how I didn't get bit, or my pants got ripped, how I didn't get bit, how I didn't shoot myself in the fucking foot or leg is a miracle. I'll never understand it. But that dog, I ended up being killed, and so I had to call it in. I said 259. I said shots fired 2 times. I said, give me a supervisor on the phone, the uniform supervisor, to come out and make the report on it. Then we had to work like a shooting, y'all. I'm very sure it was John Loudermilk who was still supervising then. He came out, and the dog didn't run that far, and he died. But we did wrap him up and had him taken to the LSU laboratory, and that motherfucker had rabies. That took like a week for the test to come back, and had it broken the skin on me, I'd had to get all those shots in my stomach. So love y'all. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm Woody Overton, the host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
And the wolf is at your door. Your running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, no matter by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
At the UPS Store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.